Hi, welcome to another Revenue Hub Who Are We interview, where we talk with one of our expert partners and find out a bit more about them and their organization. Today, we're joined by Jos Schaap, CEO and co founder of Roomdex. Jos talks about his background, working for a major technology company, then starting his own company, then selling that, and then co founding Roomdex. He introduces us to Roomdex, the solution, and its core differentiators. He also outlines how their solution not only adds revenue, but does it in a highly effective and efficient way. Finally, Jos talks about the typical client profile, their quick onboarding, and his co-founders. Really hope you enjoy what he has to say. As always, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe to the channel and click that bell so you know when we have new content. And please don't forget a simple thumbs up. It really does help raise the profile of the channel, and in that way, you can help us to help others. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. Roll the intro. Hi, Josh. Good to see you. And first and foremost, thank you for Roomdex coming on board as an expert partner. Delighted to have you join us. And secondly, great, really appreciate you finding some time in a very busy schedule to join us today so we can get under the hood a little bit more, hear more about you, hear more about Roomdex and what you guys are all about and what you're looking to achieve in the space that you occupy. So probably before we get into the solution and the company, makes sense for those who don't know you, there probably aren't many, but just in case, if you could give us a bit of an introduction to you and who Jos is.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Trevor, thanks very much for having me. And I'm also very excited in joining the Revenue Hub. Who am I? So I've been around in hospitality for quite some time. I started my career at Hilton International way back when, actually in London. That's where I got in touch with technology. I joined Fidelio, and through Fidelio, I ended up at Micros, working for the Opera product. I was probably one of the first ones joining that team, and kind of grew that product from the first hotel to about 35,000. Wow. Most of my time at Micros, I was in charge of all product development and engineering for all the Opera products. Mm-hmm. In 2012, I left Micros and started my own company called Stay in Touch, which was to become one of the first cloud PMSs with a mobile touch and included self-service around mobile check-in, mobile check-out, as well as kiosks. That company I sold in 2008 to CG. Mm-hmm. I took a little bit of time off, and early last year, just before COVID started, I founded Roomdex with two of my co-founders, of which we will talk about in the next couple of minutes.
Sure.
So that's me.
A serial entrepreneur, and I can imagine having built one company already and then sold it. You deserved a bit of time off.
Yes, that was very nice. It's also nice to get back and to be around hotels and everybody again.
Yeah, I could imagine. So new company. We'll get into specifically the solution in the moment, but just tell us a bit about how new you are. When did you start? You said last year.
Yeah. So we got the idea probably late 2019. We met in February 2020 in Santa Cruz, California, where I'm actually right now for a couple of weeks. My two co-founders live here. We kind of had the idea early on, and we kind of formalized it, as I mentioned, in February, and then we founded the company officially in April, started officially working on it May 1st, 2020, so just when COVID had started.
Yeah.
Our plan was that COVID would have been gone before the end of 2020. Fortunately, we didn't have that entirely in control.
I think we all would have planned for that.
But so the idea was to build a very simple and easy to use, fully automated upgrade solution that could easily be attached to multiple PMSs, 100% two-way, so it would indeed be fully automated to the hotel. That's kind of what we set out to do. Mm-hmm. Our plan was to be live with the first hotels in September. That's the goal we met, actually. And we started adding more hotels in October, November. Even during COVID, we were able to find a number of hotels that needed the solution and had enough occupancy for us to send enough emails out to guests to actually buy these upgrades.
Yeah, makes sense.
So ever since we've gone live in let's say early October last year, we've done really well, and most of our hotels are doing, even on low occupancy, are generating a very nice ROI. So far things have been going pretty well for us.
Which, considering starting any new business, always is a bit of a risk to do that during a COVID situation where one of the most hardest hit industries are the hotel and hospitality. That's some achievement to be building and adding clients during that time. So no, well done for that. Kudos for that. Let's jump into the solution. You've touched on it a couple of times there about an automated upselling solution, but just tell us all about it and how it works, what the differences are, what it's all about.
Sure. So as I mentioned, we focus on full automation. So we require a full two-way to the PMSs. We've done the first almost three. We are live with Stay in Touch PMS, Apaleo PMS, and we are actually in this week going live with the first two Opera hotels. Opera PMS hosted, so the legacy solution, the older solution, so to speak. We're working also very hard on the next PMSs, Oracle Cloud, Infor, Protel, and a bunch of other ones. What's the solution doing? Our idea was really to kind of make it simpler for hotels to have an automated upgrade solution. My two co-founders worked for years at Nor1, which probably a couple years ago was a market leader in this business. And they learned a lot of things there that they thought we could do better. The other thing that we found through a lot of research is that most of these upsell solutions that are out there are somewhat semi-automated. They usually all have a one-way. Most of them do have only a one-way. Some have a two-way to a very few PMSs. So what happens really is that many people that use those solutions, many hotels that use those solutions, the upsell component for the guest is very automated, but the actual fulfillment and delivery behind the scene in the hotels does require work. So most of our competitors, they have to set the price manually. So hotels have to go in on a regular basis and set the upgrade price manually. They have to then enter, if somebody buys an upgrade, it goes into like a screen in which the staff can, and then they can select, put that information into the PMS. And we kind of wanted to do away with that. And another solution that we didn't think was right is whereby the guest is offered the opportunity to buy an upgrade if it's available. So that creates a lot of confusion, but many guests thought that if they were to opt in for such an available solution, that they would actually have to buy it. They actually would have bought it already. That's not the case.
I see. Right.
So what we do at Roomdex, we're fully two-way. That means all the information we need to provide a guest with a room upgrade offer is automatically sent and created to the guest. There's nothing the hotel has to do. Once the guest buys an upgrade through our solution, we send all that confirmation information back to the PMS. We update the PMS with all relevant upgrade information so that, again, the hotel staff also doesn't have to do anything, which basically makes the solution very effortless for hotels. And some of our customers have already commented on that, like an effortless revenue driver, game-changing hotel upgrade platform. So we've kind of achieved what we wanted to do with that. The solution is also installed and activated in less than an hour. We also want to make sure that the configuration is not taking too much time out of a hotelier's daily schedule, and especially now with low staffing, that's probably an important component to do. And then the ongoing pricing is fully automated. So the way we work is we look at the daily price differentials that we see in each room category within the hotel. And within those price differentials from one category to the other, we yield based on, persona, based on arrivals, based on occupancy, and based on the price that the guest originally paid for the room, as well as today's price for that room and upgrade room. Okay. So we kind of make it, it's sort of a mini, let's call it a mini RMS system.
I was gonna say, some of what you were talking about there sounded like a kind of a pricing RMS solution.
Yeah, but we work with the offerings that the RMS gives to the PMS, and because we get those all from the PMS, and then from there onwards we further optimize for room upgrades and early arrival and late departure. So those are also right now the three things we offer in our solution. why do we only offer those three things? First of all, we're a small team. We wanted to focus and we want to do it right. And second of all, room upgrades or any room revenue is usually very high margin, and especially if you arrive in late departure, it's sort of 100% margin, because whether you clean that room in the afternoon or very early in the morning, it's the same effort you have to make that room clean. So it doesn't really add any cost if you sell an early arrival or late departure.
And in terms of your customer base that you're targeting, are you focusing around the major brands, chains, or is it for independent properties? Can you tell us a little bit about that side of things?
That's a good question. I mean, we think we can work in many hotels. We want to also look at the long tail. Because we're automated, there's very little work to do in the hotel. And long tail hotels usually have very little staff, usually don't have designated revenue managers. They usually have area revenue managers who wouldn't have time to update prices manually. So a solution like ours can really help there. So far, we've been installed we've got 65 clients signed on. We have about 30 live, about 3,000 rooms are live right now. And the hotels are all over the board. We have an 11-room hotel in Miami, up to a 350-room resort in Minnesota.
Okay.
As well as hotels in Europe. So we think we can work everywhere. We're probably going to target hotels that are, 75 rooms or more, but because it's very easy to get us installed, we can actually work anywhere. So again, we're a small team, so we're looking at a few target markets right now and a few target type of hotels, but ultimately we want to be in any hotel that feels it needs a digital upgrading.
No, that makes sense. And again, upgrading is often spoken about, and particularly when, as you mentioned at the beginning, when we've got a lower occupancy, if there's a way that we already have somebody coming to us that we can add some additional revenue. What have you been seeing? You kind of hinted towards some pickup and some numbers that some of your clients were already seeing a return on investment. What are you seeing in those areas?
Yeah, so hotels that have a minimum occupancy, and with minimum I say if they show an occupancy of about 25% or more, which means there are guests arriving and departing, which allows us to send actually emails. We see an ROI of 5x or more very quickly. We actually see an immediate ROI as soon as hotels go live, the same day or the next day, the first offers are showing up.
Wow.
And guests buy them because it's so automated and so simple. And the offer that we create is very focused on it feels very personal. So it's kind of a personal email to the guest rather than a flash email with all kinds of information. And it only focuses on the upgrade offer that we give for that particular guest especially then.
Gotcha.
And then the offer page itself is very simply created. It's a very simple design. It has very few keywords on there that explain to the guests very quickly what it is they're getting if they go to a bigger room or if they buy early arrival or late departure, and that makes it very easy to kind of purchase it.
Yeah.
So we've seen hotels that some hotels do better than other hotels, but overall our ROI is doing really well in most hotels. Our click-through rates are way above, let's say, the industry average at this point in time, and also our conversion rates are around 18, 19, 20%, which is very high. I think it's basically on par, if not higher, than some of the people out there that've been doing this for a longer time. And I think the key, of course, is that it's fully automated, so there's no additional work required from the hotel staff to maintain the system. It all just happens.
So that was something I was going to ask. How do you set up the upgrade offer then? What's the kind of interface? What is it hotel side?
So the hotel side, because it's really two-way, we extract all information that we need to configure our system on our side. So we extract all the room information, all the feature information, all the pricing information. So once we connect to the hotel, which kind of happens in the background, hotel doesn't have to do anything for that. We just do that with the vendor together. There is not much left to do. There's a very quick onboarding call. Last one we did with a hotel in New York, 130 rooms, took 34 minutes. We basically tell them to kind of prepare ahead of time, think what is it you want to sell in a room that you have not defined in the PMS.
Yeah.
The call is designed really to run through what we collected from the PMS and how we configured it and presented it automatically on our side so that the hotel sees, yeah, that makes sense, we're comfortable with it, or add this or delete that. Because we have automated pricing, there's no pricing to be defined. That happens automatically. So all the hotel then really has to do is finish off some email branding and some offer branding, which is basically adding a logo, a few colors, and a font, and of course, the hotel details. And that's pretty much it. And then they can go live. So it's our goal is to kind of automate that process as well as much as possible, and we're getting very close to do that.
No,
34 minutes.
No, I think so. 34 minutes onboarding that's a pretty quick time.
Exactly.
and I guess the whole I think sometimes there's maybe fear is the wrong word, but when you talk about automation within the hotelier space, and we've heard a lot about hotel tech stack, there is this trust element, isn't there, about relinquishing some of those aspects and having anything automated. So there is that trust building piece. But I think on the flip side also, as you mentioned before, with there being less staff, and now as certain countries are opening up and the US, different areas are starting to respond differently, you need something that you realize is going to get you a return on investment, but you really won't have a lot of time or staff to put on getting it configured and getting it up and running. So it also has to be particularly simple in that way as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's a very good point you bring up. And of course, that only became more evident over the last 12 months, as COVID was developing itself. I think what we try to do to give the hotel more confidence or quick confidence in our system is try to make it very clear to them, yes, it's automated, but we collect the rates that you configure yourself in your PMS, work of those. So we're never going to sell far of those rates, which means you should be comfortable about the price that we offer to the guests. And then second, the hotel staff doesn't really have to go into our system Roomdex itself, because all the information they need operationally is copied into the PMS. So when the guest arrives or when the guest does a mobile check-in, all of that information is used to perform that check-in, and there's no need for the hotel staff to look anywhere else, which also creates, I think, more confidence. And then we've been able to, because two of the things that we think are really good revenue generators, early arrival and late departure, but they often in hotels cause a bit of an operational concern, as in, can I actually deliver on the commitment of an early arrival and late departure?
Yeah.
Especially now when there's less housekeeping available and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So we've kind of developed some algorithms to ensure that when we sell an early arrival, the hotel can actually deliver on it. So we've got some algorithms in place that handle that, and especially that is gaining more and more traction. People becoming more and more comfortable with that, and so they're kind of beginning to widen the time frame in which they want to offer early arrival and late departure. And we've seen great value there. I mean, I was looking at the offers from the last 30 days. The highest late departure that was sold was $121 until like 3 p.m. So it's not that late even.
Wow.
People buy. The average late departure that we sold over the last 30 days is $47. So it shows you that people are very happy or willing to pay to stay a little longer in the room.
I was going to say,
people like the guarantee of, if I can arrive early or stay a little later, I don't mind paying for that, I think. And that's,
But when you said you said $47 for a late departure, just as a separate upsell piece of revenue. So what would that represent roughly, without obviously going into confidential information, but roughly a percentage of the room price, for instance?
Yeah, so that represents, let's assume it's a 1 or 2 night stay, that represents between 20 and 40% of the room night, because the ADR is pretty low.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, people want to stay longer and they don't mind paying for it, I think. It might also be, part of it is the COVID. People want to stay in their rooms longer.
Yeah.
But we've sold, when I was at Stay in Touch, when I founded that company, we also had this offer included. And also there we saw a great uptake, especially on late departures, because it's working. People like to stay longer and don't mind paying for having the guarantee that they can stay longer or arrive earlier.
See, again, you have to be careful. Well, we have to be careful what statement we make, but it does seem daft not to just have that option there. I mean, if a hotel doesn't have, whatever solution they choose to use, but to not have the opportunity to grab $40 plus just to give somebody the chance to stay a bit later just seems crazy. You kind of wonder why someone would be reticent to do that.
Yeah, and then there's obviously I think there's obviously there's some people that don't like it. They think it should be for free at a better service, which may make sense in some cases.
Sure.
So we've also added some algorithms and some logic that if the guest is a high value guest, or the rate is very high, or it's a loyalty guest, or whatever parameter you want to set in the hotel, we can then say, okay, Trevor, this guest Trevor is a very high value guest. We're going to give you the late departure free until 3 p.m. 2 a.m.
Okay, so you can roll that in too. Okay, yeah.
If some hotel group wants to give you a specific offer, then that can also be done.
Yeah.
So that helps. It's going to help, I think, even more with loyalty and getting high value guests to return the hotel, because they'll see the appreciation in it.
Absolutely. I was going to talk a bit about the onboarding and where the client support fits in, but you've touched on some of it, so we'll have a moment around that. But it seems as if the angle that you're taking with Roomdex is basically that classic plug and play scenario. I think you did emphasize a point a moment ago that is worth re-emphasizing, because we mentioned earlier in this discussion about the RMS, and it looks and feels in some ways a little bit like it, but you also said it's not changing any prices. It's only pulling through from what's already been established, and then pushing back what you're getting through the bookings. So because we spoke about hoteliers feeling comfortable that it's not altering anything for them.
It's yielding a little bit within the ranges we get from the PMS, which may or may not be fed by an RMS depending on what the hotel has.
Yeah.
So it's either the revenue manager or the RMS system that feds the rates into the PMS, and we take those rates. And then, we work within let's say the room category from category A to B is $50 in price differentials.
Yeah.
We work within that $50 to decide what we're going to offer. So we could offer 35, we could offer 45, kind of depends on occupancy, value the guest already paid. One thing I think, if you have a static room upgrade offer of, let's say, $50 from one to the other category, but let's say I paid $100 for my room to pay another 50, that's a bit of a steep, I think, for a person that pays 100. But if I paid $200 for that room, I might be willing to pay 50 to get to a really nice dinner suite, for example. Yeah. And that's the game we try to play a little bit automated as well.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So just very quickly back to the onboarding and the plug and play. I mean, as you said, it was 34 minutes. So I mean, you literally are. It's almost like how you would do now if you're downloading an app or whatever on a phone. I know it's not quite, but it's as simple as get in, plug and play, give the information. Here are some things to consider up front, and then you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So like I said, we connect to the PMS. We do that in the background for you automatically. Once we are connected, we schedule a quick call. Ultimately, we'd like to get to a point where that call is not even needed anymore, and the hotel can do it all themselves.
Sure.
Or if they want to do it themselves, we've had some that did that already. If they want to have us on the call to help them with that, then of course we do that too. We offer a 2-month free trial also, so people can try us without having to pay. And, a lot of the PMSs these days don't charge for these interfaces anymore, especially the newer ones. Mm-hmm. So it's a very easy, quick, simple 2-month trial that doesn't take you much time to set up. You can then see for yourself that we will generate ROI. And then after 2 months, you can decide whether that's enough ROI for you or not and continue with us. And that's as simple as it is.
It's like a pretty fair offer, to be honest with you, doesn't it? Try before you buy. Classic.
Exactly.
And I think particularly, and I'm sitting in the UK. You're over in the US. We know the issues that are going on in Europe at the moment. So hotels are all over the place in terms of what they can and what they can't do. But once we start to open up, And there may be restrictions, as you highlighted earlier, around the level of occupancy that you could have, maybe to comply with COVID protocols or social distancing restrictions that may be in place. Again, it just comes back to being able to maximize the amount of potential revenue, because you've got the booking for the room, you've already established that price. So to then miss out on additional revenue on top just for the sake of sending an email and asking the question. And if it's easy to configure, easy to get you on board, you could try it for free to check if it actually works. I'm kind of struggling a little bit this end to work out where the hesitancies may be. Well, we'll let others decide that maybe.
New things are always hard, I guess. I mean, I'm hoping that the experience that me and my co-founders bring to the table are, also helping to convince people that we're not here just to do this for fun. We've been around the block for 30 years, so let's say 9 years if you add it all up. All of us worked in hospitality for a long time, either on the hotel side or on the software side, and we feel pretty comfortable. Like I said, all the customers that we have live are very happy. We have little or no day-to-day interaction with those customers other than, talking about the results. So the system is working well. It's safe. And like I said, a 2-month free trial is little or no risk to anybody.
Absolutely. And I think just a good point there. You said we get the chance to hear a little bit about your partners, and we haven't given you the opportunity to talk about that, but there is a depth, a wealth of experience. So just to put that in perspective, if you could.
Yeah, sure. So, I already talked about my experience. I spent a long time at Micros, developing pretty much Opera Oracle from the start to about 35,000 rooms. My two co-founders, one, Pierre Butner, worked with me at Micros since early 2000 for a couple of years. He went then off to work for Nor1 for many years. He then started a small startup for a couple of years and then ended up at Stay in Touch just around the time I left there for a couple of years. Prior to his hospitality career, he was a revenue manager in multiple hotels in Europe. So also a lot of experience and knows really well what he's doing when it comes to integrating and revenue management. Our third co-founder, Denis Bagem, Pierre and Denis met each other at Nor1, about 10 years ago, I think. They worked very well together on developing a couple of Nor1 applications. And as I mentioned earlier, there they learned what can be done better. So then they continuing to work together at Hospitality Paul's startup they had for a couple of years. Denis, prior to meeting Pierre, has been an engineer for many, many years. He had a small advertising agency website that he sold many years ago. So, that kind of relates back to offering digital offers on the internet. So the three of us have, lots of experience. And I think, we think we know what we need to do. We get very good feedback from our customers. We talk to them on a regular basis, and we think we can bring a lot more to our customers in the years to come. One of the next things we want to add is not only offer room products but also in-stay products around such as parking, breakfast, a bottle of champagne, all that kind of stuff. But there we also want to look at automation and want to make sure it includes a workflow that allows hotels to minimize the efforts and also ensure that when something like that is sold, it can actually be delivered on time to the room and to the guests, because that often lacks.
It's key at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you drop the ball on the actual service delivery, then you only get that first sale, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. You only get the first sale. You got to give that one back too.
and we all know how important reputation is as well.
Exactly. So I think for us, automation and fulfillment are just as important as the look and feel of the offer on the front end that the guest sees. We think that selling the offer is a lot easier. It's not technically speaking not that hard, but actually doing the fulfillment and making sure it works really well is a whole different story.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Brilliant. That covered everything that I had down here to want to ask you about it. I think you've given us a really good deep dive and explanation as to where Roomdex sits, what it's all about, what it's there to achieve. We'll make sure, obviously, that all links below where people can reach out and connect with you will be available as well. Any final thoughts from your side, or have we kind of got across everything that you wanted to?
I think we covered most of it. And maybe one thing that I would like to mention I forgot is that we've also done an integration with Google Translate. So we can translate the software and the offers to the guests in any language. We added a few little tricks to that, because even though Google Translate does a pretty good job these days, it does make some mistakes still. So we found a way to kind of manage those few mistakes. And that has enabled us to kind of very quickly, without, again, any effort of the hotel, offer the offer page in any language at this point in time.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a pretty key feature as well. Superb. Well, look, thanks again. Great to have you on board. Really looking forward to working with you guys, bringing forward some new content, new ideas, new thought leadership. So really looking forward to a partnership. But again, I appreciate these are busy times for you. So to find the time to sit and talk with us again, thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And then again, look forward to work with you guys as well.
Absolutely. You take care.
Thank you.
Well, I hope that conversation was of interest, and thanks again to Jos for joining us. If you like the discussion, please don't forget to give a thumbs up. I know every video asks for it, but by giving a thumbs up or subscribing, you help raise the profile of this channel, and in that way, you help us to help others. If you are interested in more of our Who Are We conversations, here is our playlist. For our expert insights, here is that playlist. And please don't forget to subscribe. Here is the button. Thanks again for watching.